V is for victory by Adder 1. Victory and defeat are each of the same price. The citizens were all blissful. Yes, blissful. He could see in their faces, looking out in the open window in the city beyond. Clouds everywhere. Clouds for banks, clouds for supermarkets, clouds for plantations, clouds for transport, clouds for everything. There even had to be marked pathways through the clouds to give a sense of direction. Nothing but soft, puffy tufts and blankets of clouds. This was their world now, as it had been for the last 200 years. The sun was shining, the air was warm. The citizens were all blissful. All the Pegasi went about their daily lives, filling into the Capitol building, into courthouses, and into the main agencies meant to keep them all blissful. He sighed and smiled.
Hi, Gerald, she's here.
He sighed and frowned.
Let her in.
He pivoted on his hooves and strode back into his Oval Office, with its cloud desk and cloud stationery and cloud cabinets, seeing himself in his cloud swivel chair. His bodyguards, dressed in sharp military gear, ear balloons, shades, and all the stereotypical nonsense, opened the great cloud doors and in walked the Pegasus mare. She was a textbook military type, same as he, probably dressed in uniform, greatly groomed, plenty of decorations, and even a steady stride. As if rehearsed, he stood and returned the salute as soon as it was given. "Hi, General Harbinger," she greeted.
Brigadier General Storm Surge.
He greeted in turn, dropping his salute.
At ease.
He turned to the guards. "Leave us." The pair nodded stoutly and vacated the premises, shutting the air great cloud doors behind him. He motioned to the cloud chair across from him, and they seated themselves. She started. "Hi, General. First I want to—" A wave of the hoof, and she was silent.
"None of that,"
he said with a tired sigh.
"Your inauguration is tomorrow, and after that, I'll just be old Harbinger. Continue."
"The Harbinger, I wanted to say that it'll be an honor to serve in your stead." Storm Surge continued with an even expression and tone. "I would also disavow any and all crude remarks some of my supporters have been lambasting you with."
Yes, an honor," he said with a grimace. "Storm? Can I call you Storm?"
She looked genuinely surprised. "Why, of course, sir."
"Storm? Do you know why I wanted to meet with you today?"
he inquired. "No, sir," she repeated.
"At ease,"
he repeated, leaning toward her.
"While proper conduct in the presence of a superior officer is a necessity, I'll have none of that right now. Now,"
he didn't further until he rested his forelegs against the desk, hose forming a steeple.
"The reason I wanted to meet with you was to have a discussion regarding your inauguration and official duties as High General of the High Council. Are you aware of the official duties?"
"Yes," she replied.
"Then it's time to discuss,"
he grunted as he leaned back in his seat, still maintaining the steeple of his hose,
"the unofficial duties. How well do you remember your history, Storm?"
"I graduated top of my class at the academy," she answered. Was that a hint of pride of her tone? He held a smile waning.
"Then tell me, who won the Great War?"
Storm Surge blinked. "I beg your pardon, Harbinger?"
"It's a simple question."
He made a brief sideways gesture with his hoof.
Who won the Great War?
"I'm under the impression that nobody did," Storm Surge replied. There was a hint of pride now. He turned a deep sigh and idly strolled back and forth in his cloud chair, reclining back to look up at the cloud ceiling.
"Victory,"
he said wistfully.
"The greatest goal, for with it come the greatest spoils. Power, property, prestige, and—"
He held up a hoof, eyes back on the general.
"Above all, posterity. After that, it's like they say, history is written by the victors. So by your logic, nobody has any sort of history to tell."
"Where are you going with this?" she inquired. He drew up another deep sigh, sat up in his cloud chair.
"Storm, with your rank and current stature, there's no doubt you already know about the true nature of what lies beneath, unclouded, pun unintended, by superstition. What lies beneath our cloud cover?"
She did her best to maintain a straight face, but there was a subtle crease in the brow, familiar to that of schoolfilly caught in a pop quiz. She answered, "Near total anarchy. What little civilization remains is but a shadow of ours, and the rest of it pure lawlessness."
He pursed his lips briefly. "Interesting choice of metaphor. Yes, you're absolutely right. Modern-day Equestria is reminiscent of the dark age of darkness before the rise of the Three Pony Nations. Sabrica is almost entirely glass and ass. Aldorna, We won't discuss the Garth Infernment. So we can both agree that the surface is a ruin. Habitable, perhaps, but with some primitive societies here and there. But more or less but a shadow of ours. What of ours, Storm?
He moves into the scenery outside. All the Pegasi went about their daily lives, filing into the Capitol building, into courthouses, into many agencies.
Just look,
He went on, as he did,
reminiscent not of Equestria from the age of darkness, but of Equestria from the age of industry right before the Great War. We have businesses. We have a unified military. We have law and order. We are content. No slaves or raiders. No bloodthirsty mutants or radiation. What do you see if you look close enough at the faces of our citizens? They're all happy and blissful. Storm, I asked how well you remembered your history. He continued. What does that imply?
The mayor looked back at him. I don't understand, sir.
He felt the urge to grimace.
Patience. Patience.
History is written by the victors, Storm, and you were taught history. He smiled. Don't you see, Storm? We won. We won the Great War. The Grand Pegasus Enclave, and the Grand Pegasus Enclave alone, won the greatest conflict in equine history. We achieved the greatest goal and won the greatest spoils. Power, property, prestige, and posterity. Do you know why posterity is so important, Storm? That we alone claimed victory in the wake of the Great War meant that we alone claimed our future. And the ability to write it as we please, as it is written. The surface is completely inhospitable to life. The Grand Pegasus Enclave should remain isolated above the clouds. As it is written, the citizens will be governed under a military state, ruled by a military elite. As it is written, we shall never have to venture beneath save for the necessary resources. As it is written, you'll finally have peace in our time, and so it will remain. So now do you understand what your own official duties are, soon to be High General Storm Surge? He asks, we've come too far now to let our spoils spoil. We must continue as it is written. We cannot allow it all to come undone by the slip of a quill, or tongue. The High Council doesn't take these matters lightly. In fact, the High Council, myself included, is highly reluctant to accept replacements such as yourself. Understand? We're all taking a great risk here to have you replace me.
Yes, High General Harbinger, she replied. She was silent for a few good seconds and was taking it all in. Then, permission to speak freely?
We have been, haven't we?
General Storm Surge said, I find it highly unusual that you're speaking to me so callously for a stallion of your rank and stature. Was there any particular reason for such a lazily pow! There was a soft whistling sound. A new hole opened up in General Storm Surge's forehead. A thin line of red trickling down, she slumped back in her cloud chair. As it so happened, cloud windows didn't have panes.
Because I wanted you to sit still, he replied slowly. Because taking such a great risk and having you replace me was too great a risk to take. Because it must all continue as written. He cleared his throat. Guards!
The cloud double doors opened, and in came nearly identical bodyguards.
Dispose of her. Raise the alarm. And remember, this was an assassination attempt on me. She was an unfortunate victim.
Yes, sir, Dale complied, hauling the body out and away from the chair, sitting down the hall. As the alarm was raised, he rose, before additional bodyguards would come for him and escort him to a safer location. He looked back outside. Now that the Pegasi citizens were briefly interrupted from their daily lives by the alarm and lockdown, interrupted from filing to the Capitol building and to the courthouse. The main agencies meant to keep them all just that, blissful. No, the citizens were all still blissful, blissfully unaware of their victory and the price that came with it. Victory and defeat are the same price.